Alrighty, guys, we are live. The thing just started like a minute ago, so let's go ahead and begin.
Had a very successful meeting on his trip to Asia with President Xi, where they discussed the need for China to crack down on fentanyl production and distribution, which ultimately makes its way here to the United States of America. And the FBI director recently traveled to China following President Trump's meeting to meet with his counterpart in Beijing. And he has a really positive announcement for the American people to share. So the president wanted me to bring the FBI director out to share that with all of you today. So Cash, please, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Caroline. As Caroline mentioned, we have some tremendous news thanks to President Donald J. Trump once again for the American people. As soon as the President of the United States took office, he issued a mandate to rid America of the scourge that is fentanyl, a drug that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Actually, I want to just talk on this. I've been planning a video around this about Donald Trump's drug war, right? And I feel like he's doing one hell of a job. If you ask me, I feel like Donald Trump is doing one hell of a job. Specifically, why I think that is because he's going after high up government officials, and there have been countless, so many, I can't even count them. Hundreds of, maybe not that many, but possibly up to hundreds of government officials, police officers, senators, not senators, but people going all the way up to the governor of Massachusetts' own clerk, right? Was using the fucking government's internal mail system, couriers, right? To deliver fucking kilos of blow around the country. Let's go.
Thanks to his leadership and direct engagements with China, we set up a framework to execute that mission 8 months ago. Attorney General Bondi immediately thereafter took steps to engage her counterpart in China at the Ministry of Public Security. Pursuant to their direct discussions, as the FBI director designated to run counterpoint on this, along with the Secretary of State Rubio and Ambassador Perdue and the team here at the White House, we set forward a path to implement the policy needed to crush the plague of fentanyl. Deputy Attorney General Blanche and our teams have been hard at work ever since, ultimately culminating in my trip to Beijing last week. This was only possible due to President Trump's historic engagement with President Xi just a few short weeks ago that set the stage for today's announcement. At that meeting, the leaders reached an agreement. But just to put this in frame for the American people, a reminder here that nearly 100,000 people died of fentanyl overdoses just last year alone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Here,
fuck fentanyl.
This year, under this president, the FBI has seized 1,900 kilograms of fentanyl so far. That is a 31% increase from the same time period last year. To put it in...
That's like, okay, he's going to tell us, but that's like, 1 kilogram can kill like 500,000 to 1 million people, right?
Perspective, that's enough fentanyl to kill 127 million Americans.
There you go.
Fentanyl,
I'm sorry, 10 million people apparently,
are what makes up fentanyl. While we, the interagency,
the
Department of Justice, have been fighting hard to seize and stop drug traffickers, we must attack fentanyl precursors, the ingredients necessary to make this lethal drug.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
That was the sole purpose of my trip to China, to eliminate these
fentanyl doses in like the 1 milligram range, or maybe less. I don't know. That's what I thought.
Precursors. And if successful, we would suffocate the drug trafficking organization's ability to manufacture fentanyl in places like Mexico. This was the first time an FBI director has been to China in over a decade and received the audience with his counterpart to address this matter directly.
No, 19 million
and again,
kilograms.
Thanks to President Trump's...
no, he's right. Yeah, about 200 million people. Damn. Yeah, he's right.
Direct engagement with President Xi.
That's to kill him dead. That's like a huge dose. That's like an overdose dose, right? Not like, oh, you don't have any tolerance and you're going to die from taking a normal dose, which happens, right? Somebody like me were to take it, I could possibly die because I don't ever take that stuff, right? But not even like pain pills or anything, right? But like at that rate, yeah, what he was saying, definitely enough to kill 200 million people, right?
of China committed fully to my
Kill
engagement there on
heroin
the ground
users.
in Beijing at a level never seen before. While at Ministry of Public Security headquarters, I met with my counterpart at MPS, where the Chinese government agreed on a plan to stop fentanyl precursors. What does that mean? The People's Republic of China has fully designated and listed all 13 precursors utilized to make fentanyl. Furthermore, they have agreed to control 7 chemical subsidiaries that are also utilized to produce this lethal drug. Effective immediately, essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans. These substances are now banned, and they will no longer be utilized by the Mexican drug trafficking organizations or any other DTOs around the world to make this drug. This historic achievement has saved tens of thousands of lives. This historic achievement would not have been possible without the tremendous team of President Trump, the Attorney General, the Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Ambassador Perdue in China, whose ground-level engagements were imperative to achieving this result. This is yet another example of how President Trump defends the American people, provides security for the American people, and puts the American people first. This is a historic first.
I agree. Donald Trump has done a tremendous job. He's killed 50 fucking drug runners that were bringing in boats. Now, I've seen it. I've seen the government video, and in some of the videos before he blows up the boat, right? You can see a fucking boat with just hundreds of bales of dope on it, bales, trash bag sized bales, right, of dope on them going in the water, hundreds, a big giant pile of them, right? And there's some question, what if he gets the wrong guy or whatever, or blah 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 blah. But the fact that he gets the right guy with such consequences, boats, I'm telling you, a boat, not a fucking shipping worldwide shipping, but a speedboat, right? Like a small, maybe not a yacht, but a Chris craft, right? Something like that size, full of dope, right? Hundreds of bales, right? I've seen it. So I've been actually looking into this, and we're going to get a video about it soon.
First of its kind achievement by any president to stop the scourge of fentanyl, and it should be championed by every single American. This achievement will save lives. We are thankful for President Trump's steadfast leadership, and this FBI will fearlessly follow in his footsteps to ensure that this mission of safeguarding the American public is achieved every single day. Thank you. Thanks, Karoline.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
What up, heathen?
Hey.
SD, what's up, buddy?
Thank you again, Director Patel. Before we get going, I do have one quick scheduling announcement. Tomorrow.
SD says he's been combing the beach at high tide, hoping to find some bales. That actually happens in Florida. Probably in Texas, it probably happens too. But in the Florida Keys, it actually happens all the time.
Tomorrow, President Trump will be joined by the First
I've met
Lady
people
in
that
the East Room
have
for
told me that they or someone that they know has found a bale of cocaine on the beach in Florida, in the 80s. It was in the 80s, so they were old hippies when I was down there. I'm down there at the late 90s, 97, 98, 99 even. And yeah, old hippies that when they would pick you up hitchhiking through Florida, right? And they would tell you all these stories, and many of them claim to either have found the bale or know someone that has found the bale and has seen the bale, right? So that's crazy. So I believe you. It does happen.
Signing aimed at expanding opportunities for education, career development, housing, and other resources for young people transitioning from foster care to adulthood. This is part of the First Lady's Fostering the Future efforts, which are a Be Best initiative. In other news, the Democrats dragged on the government shutdown for 43 days, the longest
43.
shutdown in U.S. history.
What did they
but
accomplish?
Tonight, thanks to Republicans, the White House is very hopeful that this shutdown...
What did they accomplish, guys? What did they get for their 43 days of suffering and pain? And, did you hear about the airplane that crashed in Louisville that just blew up, taking off or something? Now, I don't know if that was related to the the government workers being overworked or whatever and underpaid, but it's funny how something like that happens right during the middle of the government shutdown, right? These guys put people's lives at risk, their reputations at risk. Luckily for them, people are so stupid that they're going to blame Donald Trump. More people are going to blame Donald Trump than are going to actually dig into it and find out whose fault it is. That's the sad thing.
Down is going to come to an end. The damage caused by the Democrats with this reckless government shutdown cannot be forgotten. It is
I wish it would have went on longer. Guys. Really. Then Trump could have made some drastic changes. He would have had the power to make drastic changes, and it's hard to change something once you change it, right? That's how our government works. But during the shutdown, right, he has authority to do things that he doesn't have concerning the budget, like appropriate funds, right? Like say what gets paid out, what doesn't get paid out, like who has a job, who's essential, right? And if the shutdown would have just went on just a little bit longer, like 60 days, he could have made some sweeping changes. And that's honestly what I was holding out and hoping for.
The fault of the Democrat Party. Just look at the vote count. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees have missed their paychecks. Tens of billions in wages and benefits were withheld, impacting vulnerable families.
No, SD.
Millions of...
If the proposed plan is everybody that makes less than a number gets them, right? Kind of like how the COVID checks, if you made up to 75,000, you got the whole check, and then over 75,000, you got like a reduced or whatever it was. However it worked, right? I don't remember. 100,000, I think it was 75,000. And the tariff checks are going to work something like that, except for either you get it or you don't. If you earn too much money, you don't get it. That's what I heard anyway. I don't know. It could have changed since then. But I heard that you either get it or you don't based on how much you made.
Low-income Americans missed their SNAP benefits. Nearly 20,000 flights at airports across the country were delayed due to staffing shortages, causing Americans to miss family events, vacations, and work obligations. According to airlines...
I don't know. I think it goes to, they're going to use the same thing that they did during COVID. So I know that I got a COVID check when I didn't file a tax return because I was a 1099. And I only made so much money that it wasn't even worth it.
5.2 million travelers.
Like, the government owed me money. Like, I would have got $50 back or something, right? From the government. I only made $8,000 that year. Before. So I didn't file taxes. And I let the government just keep the $50 or whatever it would have been, right? I got the stimmy checks without filing a tax return, right? There was a website I went to and I gave them my payment information and they gave it to me.
Have had their flights disrupted over the course of the Democrat shutdown. And our economy has lost billions and billions of dollars in economic activity over the course of this shutdown, hurting consumer sentiment and crushing the travel and hospitality industries. According to a CBO estimate, the Democrat shutdown could end up decreasing fourth quarter economic growth by 2 whole percentage points. The Democrat shutdown made it extraordinarily difficult for economists, investors, and policymakers at the Federal Reserve to receive critical government data. The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released. And all of that economic data released will be permanently impaired, leaving our policymakers at the Fed flying blind at a critical period. It's hard to recap all of this without asking a simple question. Why? Why have the Democrats put the American people through this pain for 43 days in a row? It feels like Groundhog Day being up here again talking about this Democrat shutdown. And the answer to that question is pure partisan politics. They started this shutdown with a ridiculous demand to force taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens who broke into our country. Even after it was clear President Trump and Republicans would never force American taxpayers to pay for free health care for illegals. In fact, President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill fixed that problem. The Democrats kept dragging this reckless government shutdown on for weeks longer to boost their turnout in an election, perhaps one may guess. That's because the Democrats are totally captured by their far left-wing base, who only care about attacking President Trump, even if it means hurting innocent Americans in our country.
I agree,
the Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness.
Even though I really need the money, I would rather pay the debt off. But they'll never pay the debt off. You can't. You can't pay the debt off, right? You can't. There's no way to do it. It would take, even if the government didn't spend a dime, right? And they didn't have to pay interest, right? And they could just pay the debt in installments over 10 years, right? They would barely be enough to cover just the principal. It would take 10 years to pay off the principal, right? The interest alone is 25% or more, somewhere around there, last time I calculated it, of our total tax receipts, right? Right? That's why we have to borrow between 1.5 and 1.8 trillion dollars this year, just to cover, or 1.2 and 1.5, because the interest rates have been dropping. Yeah, 1.2 and 1.5 to cover our fucking interest on the debt, right? So we're not even, so we're borrowing the money every year to pay the interest plus like a few $100 billion in new expenditures, right? So we're paying for growth, and we're paying we're borrowing 25% of what we bring in every year, right? But just to pay the interest on the loan, approximately. Those numbers aren't perfect. They're close, though.
To buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear. The clean CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one. Our troops, air traffic controllers, and federal employees will be back to receiving their regular paychecks. Families in need will get back to receiving their food purchasing assistance, and the people's government will soon be back open for business. President Trump looks forward to finally ending this devastating Democrat shutdown with his signature, and we hope that signing will take place later tonight.
Yes.
On another matter, I want to address the affordability issue that's received a great deal of media attention this past week, which is ironic.
I really think it's better for Trump to have the shutdown continue.
That much attention.
That's what I think. I mean, maybe some of you guys need those benefits, but fuck the benefits for right now, right? Right? You'll get them eventually. When you get them, they'll all have them on there, right? It'll have all the weeks you missed or whatever. But, like, the power that it would have gave Donald Trump to instigate a huge government reduction is what I was really hoping for. I thought that was his plan all along. But no, he just wants to keep spending more and more money.
When Joe Biden was here and inflation was at a record high 9%, the worst inflation crisis in modern American history. And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues. The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up inflation to 9% are now suddenly affordability champions, that notion is completely absurd. And it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. In less than 10 short months, President Trump signed the largest...
I don't think Donald Trump can even stop what's coming, guys. right? It's not healthy for gold to be $4,000, right? To go up 4 times almost, let's call it 3 times in the past 5 years, right? Triple. Gold has tripled, right? Either gold is way overvalued. It's possible. There have been gold bubbles in the past, right? It's not like gold is immune to bubbles, right? In fact, scarcity, bubbles require scarcity at first, right? So you can't have a bubble without something rare, right? So like, gold can bubble just like anything else. Don't be tricked by them, right? Saying that. But unless gold is in a crazy bubble, which is, possible, but not, some of it has to be a bubble, right? Some of the gold price has to be a bubble, but not all of it, right? Even if its real value, say, is $2,500 or $3,000 an ounce, right? That's like a doubling of its previous price over 5 years. Like that is telling you how much inflation we have either experienced or will experience before the economy balances out, right? Right? That's not going away. It's not going away, and I don't think that we're even paying the piper yet. I don't think that we have paid the piper in this inflationary phase of our economy. Like, we haven't even seen the real inflation yet, is my opinion. Let's go.
Middle-class tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security, which will guarantee that next year Americans are going to put more money back into their pockets. The president has completely unleashed American energy dominance to help bring gasoline prices to the lowest in 5 years, and we expect them to continue to decrease. And it has also lowered energy costs overall.
You're right, Esty. Things are doubling, but again, not across the board, right? That's actually kind of tricky. And they are also skimping you. They are skimping you. They're putting 12 ounces on the bag, and there's 10 ounces in the package, right? That's literally going on, right? I've seen YouTube videos of Walmart brands specifically, and people taking it home and weighing everything, and they're all wrong. They're all like way over, like what it says on the bag is way more than what's in the bag.
Regulatory and pro-American energy agenda is absolutely going to continue to drive down prices. This formula worked in the president's first term,
so
and we expect that it's going to work
hard to
again.
tell.
And this is key because we know energy costs
up.
are the #1 driver of inflation. Again, just look at what Joe Biden did to our energy industry over the past 4 years of his administration, and look at what happened to inflation as a result.
And some things are not going up. Some things go down, right? Or they have a pattern built into it where it goes up and down and up and down, and you don't realize that it's constantly going up, right? It's tricky.
Became more expensive. To lower prescription drug prices and healthcare costs, the president has been working around the clock on this issue. He is obsessed with negotiating these good deals on behalf of the American people to bring down pharmaceutical costs and drug costs for Americans, and he has done so on a number of fronts. You have seen him discuss that in the Oval Office several times. To fuel small businesses, lower their costs, and incentivize hiring, the Trump administration has already cut 30 unnecessary regulations.
I don't know if real estate will melt down, right? Like, it's in a bubble, but how much? I think it's a supply and demand issue on real estate, right? And like an affordability thing, like the cost to build a new house, right? And what you get for that cost is not worth it, right? I would rather buy a 100-year-old house and pay the cost of a new house because that house is built way better, right? Like way better.
Regulations for every new one on the books, which we know will save employers and small businesses across the country thousands of dollars in regulatory burdens. All of these pro-Trump policies are working, and they will continue to work. Wages are rising at the fastest pace of the start of a presidential administration in 60 years. The cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 per year. There's much work to do,
awesome,
and this administration will continue to do it. But President Trump has already made great progress in cleaning up the economic disaster that was created by Joe Biden. With that, I will take your questions today, and in our new media seat, we have Bev Turner, who works for a new outlet.
No, A-Lords, I don't think it's going to be anything like 2008, right? 2008 was a derivative crisis and like ninja loans, right? Like ninja loans and derivatives. And when the derivatives like fluctuated like a few percent, everybody went broke, right? It was just a few percent of people not paying back their loans. A tiny amount that crashed everything. Right? Crashed everything, right? So what caused people to lose their houses was all the layoffs and firings and, hollowing out of our manufacturing that was going on at the same time, right? There was two things kind of converging, right? You have the financial system, right? With a bunch of bad loans sprinkled throughout, right? That then bets on those, right? So the financial system betting on the future profits of the loans, right? Coalescing with the hollowing out of the middle class, right? And a few bad people not being able to pay their loans, like crash the whole thing, right? This time, it's different, right? This time, it's treasuries, bonds, right? Stocks, all stocks, right? All the stocks value, right, are propped up by like self-buying. Like Nvidia buys its own shares, right? Johnson & Johnson buy their own, they do share buybacks, right? Where they take their profits and they put them into their own company shares, right? That's a circle jerk, right? Fucking Nvidia sells chips to OpenAI, and OpenAI, right? And then buys stock in OpenAI with the money it gets for the chips, right? And then OpenAI just buys more chips from Nvidia, who buys more stock from OpenAI, who takes the same money and buys the chips back. Then they take the same money and buy the stocks, more stocks. You see what I'm saying? And it makes the stock price look like it's going up, but it's just the same money circling in a big old circle jerk, right? Right? That's where it's going to crash. And the dollar is going to go mad inflation, because that's going to be the, like, we can't pay our debts. The only way to pay the debts and to cover the inflation that the money is printing is to print more money. It's a death spiral. We're in a death spiral, a deflationary death spiral. All right, let's go back.
A UK outlet, but based here in Washington, D.C., GB News. Bev, thank you for being here today. Why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Karoline. So the clock is ticking on...
Yeah, the people taking out loans and using their credit cards to buy groceries is a symptom of a recession that's actually happening while a big giant accounting circle jerk is going on, right? Like there's a circle jerk going on to make it look like the market's going up at the same time when people are being pushed out of the market. But they got their houses for a really good deal. Those $500,000 houses, right? Everybody bought when they were $50,000, right? At fucking 3% interest, right? Think about that. So most of the people that's another reason why there's the prices are going up, is because those people can't sell. They can't sell because if they do and they move into a new house, their monthly payment will be like 5 times higher than what it was when they got their house, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. There's a bunch of factors going on. So that's why I don't think that the housing market is going to bubble or pop or anything like that soon. I think that real estate is going to remain valuable.
The Friday deadline by which the BBC must retract and apologise for their malicious edit of the president in the documentary show.
It may come down, but it will remain valuable.
Last year, the recently resigned Director General of the BBC yesterday described the organisation as the very best of society and blamed the enemies of the BBC for this outcome. Also yesterday, a senior government minister launched a fierce defence of the channel in the House of Commons, saying that the broadcaster remains a light on the hill for people all over the world. So, does the President feel that the network is taking the situation seriously? Does he believe that they've shown sufficient regret? Does this strain the relationship between the President and the Prime Minister? And given that the organisation is publicly funded, is the President prepared to bankrupt the BBC in his pursuit of truth and justice?
Well, thank you, Bev. There's a lot of questions in one there. I will say, I know the President has a very good relationship with Prime Minister Starmer. You have been there, you've seen them in their interactions, you've questioned both leaders in your time joining us when we've gone to the United Kingdom a few different times now. However, he has always been very frank when he disagrees with leaders, even whom he has a good relationship with. And the BBC, being a fair news organization, is definitely an outlet. I think these two leaders would disagree. The President has made it very clear that this is a leftist propaganda machine that is unfortunately subsidized by British taxpayers, and he thinks that's extremely unfortunate for the great people of the United Kingdom and Great Britain. And I think that the President was deeply concerned by the editing, the purposeful and dishonest editing.
I know, guys, that's fucking bullshit.
That was so clearly
they do that to the
fake
President.
News, and he rightfully dubbed that term many years ago. And this is a classic example of that. We see it in the United States all the time. We see it now in the United Kingdom. As you know, the President's external legal counsel has filed a lawsuit against the BBC.
It's all fake news.
We expect that to continue, and whether they apologize or not is up to them. Thanks for being here, Bev. Ouija.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
I have your statement about the new Epstein emails that have been released by House Democrats. Separate from why you believe the emails were made public, can you address their substance? Did the President ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep. And this email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her. And so I think it's a question worth asking the Democrat Party, and you should all go ask them after this briefing, of why they chose to redact that name of a victim who has already publicly made statements about her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and is unfortunately no longer with us. Mary.
Thank you, Kaylin. Two questions on this.
Virginia Giuffre, she's talking
why
about.
Why not just go ahead, release the full files on Epstein, get this all over with?
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration...
Hold on, let's go back. Okay. What do you guys think about Epstein? You guys think that Donald Trump's all up in there? I do. You guys think that Donald Trump might have even been the one that killed Epstein? Right? I don't know. It didn't happen under Hillary's presidency, I'll say that. And, yeah, the way he's acting about it. Like, case closed. Remember, they were like, case closed. It's over. We did it. We solved it. Nobody killed Jeffrey Epstein, right? We got a video that doesn't even show his cell, but we're going to say it shows his cell. And doesn't even show the whole area, right? And not one person has ever talked about the maintenance hatches that go in between each cell to this day. But never mind. Yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think that Epstein and Donald Trump were a little cozy? You think they were a little cozy? I mean, the way he's acting, he has to have cohorted with him. I think he has to have. Like, on some level, whether it was innocent or not, right? There's something he did that he's ashamed of, and he doesn't want you to know.
This administration has done more with respect to transparency when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein than any administration ever. In fact, this administration, the Department of Justice, has turned over tens of thousands of documents.
Yeah, you didn't turn over documents. You recycled the documents that they just keep releasing over and over and over again. You know how many times we've seen those exact same documents? Right? Right? It's like, oh, we've turned over documents. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
The American people, we are cooperating and showing support for the House Oversight Committee. That's part of the reason you are seeing these documents that were released today, because of the House Oversight Committee's and Republicans' efforts.
Trump is protecting his friends? Could be. Maybe Trump is a secret agent, right? And he has loyalty to the higher echelon, the hierarchy and the echelon of the secret of his personal contact network, right? So, like, in spy business, right? Like, you only trust people you know, right? And it's really a personal kind of thing, right? And so, it's possible Donald Trump could be involved in spookery. He could be a spook, right? That's another angle. Like, he has dark, secret, cloak and dagger shit.
To get these out to the public. This administration also moved, the Department of Justice also moved to unseal grand jury testimony, which we know, unfortunately, a judge declined those requests. So this administration has done more than any, and it just shows how this is truly a manufactured hoax by the Democrat Party.
I don't think it's going to be a big deal. That's what's funny. That I don't think it's a big deal. I think there's something, right? But it's tame, right? Like, he went to a sex party there one time, and the FBI knew about it, and they asked him about it in one of the files, right? Like, what were you doing at this Epstein sex? Something like that, right? It's something lame like that, right? He just attended an event, or he went to the island one time or something, right? Like, it's something like that. It's not like Donald Trump and Epstein were, like, running prostitution rings together, right? Right? I don't think it's that bad, right? But it's something benign and something, and they're never going to release the files. There's too many other people in those files to ever let them get released, right? But by putting Donald Trump on the spot, it makes him look guilty, right? No matter what, his refusal to do what he said he was going to do makes him look guilty, in my opinion.
Now they're talking about it all of a sudden because President Trump is in the Oval Office. But when Joe Biden was sitting in there, the Democrats never brought this up. This wasn't an issue that they cared about because they actually don't care about the victims in these cases. They care about trying to score political points against President Trump, as we have, of course, seen with this government shutdown. And this entire thing, again, it's not a coincidence to the American people.
Because it wasn't just about prostitution, right? Prostitution was the carrot, right? The stick was blackmail, right? Right? Prostitution was the carrot on the blackmail stick in order to do spy shit, right? That's what it was.
At home. There are no coincidences in Washington, D.C., and it is not a coincidence that the Democrats leaked these emails to the fake news this morning ahead of Republicans reopening the government. This is another distraction campaign by the Democrat and the liberal media, and it's why I'm being asked questions about Epstein instead of the government reopening because of Republicans and President
And that's why we'll never know.
Transparency, Karoline, why are White House
That's why Donald Trump can't tell you, right? Even if he's not on there, I don't know. I think that if he wasn't on there, if he didn't have a reason to act guilty, he wouldn't act guilty. Like, he wouldn't, I don't know. Maybe. He's protecting his friends, too. It's possible, right? He has ties and allegiances, and maybe he's a spook, even. I don't know.
With Representative Boebert in an effort to try and
maybe
get
he's a
President
glow.
to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files.
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That is that's a defining factor of transparency. Having discussions with members of Congress about various issues, and I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room in the press briefing room. Reagan.
I have a question about the government shutdown.
Thank you. I'm glad someone does.
God, she's beautiful.
On the government shutdown,
I love it. I don't care.
versus
She's the prettiest little liar I ever seen in my life.
War from happening until the end of January. I'm wondering if the president had input on this element of the deal, and if he's
Lie to me. Go ahead and lie to me.
I mean, look, I think it's about 6,000 workers total. When you look at that in comparison to the reduction in the federal workforce that this administration has done since January to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, and to reduce the size of our federal bureaucracy, we've done a lot of great work on that front, and we will.
Yeah, it turns out, guys, the job market has not grown hardly at all this year. It's not a bunch of lies. It's true. The job market has barely grown, like less than 100,000 jobs, I feel like, is what I'm hearing, right? Like other analysts are looking at it, and yeah, most sectors are having shrinking, right? The government, medical, right? Those and education all grow, right? Because they're all tied together. So if those are subsidized by the government, which is causing more debt, right? So like, we're fucked. It's just a matter of time.
You too, but obviously the president's main priority was to reopen the federal government and get people back to work, and that's what this deal accomplishes.
There's been reports in Israeli media that the U.S. is considering building a temporary military base on the Gaza border. Can you confirm these reports?
So I had a conversation directly with the reporter who wrote this article, and this article was based on a single piece of paper, an inquiry that somebody in the Department of Navy made about an idea that may happen in the future.
Amazon is axing people and replacing them with robots. Isn't that interesting? Something like over the next 5 or 10 years, 100,000 robots to replace people.
And this reporter deemed that as an official plan and ran with a story that the United States is looking into it. I checked with the highest levels of the United States federal government. This is not something the United States is interested in being engaged in. It's not something we are currently involved in right now that we will be funding. And the president has been very clear he doesn't want to see boots on the ground with respect to what's happening in the Middle East. We've made great peace. We've made great progress with the peace plan in Gaza, and we want to continue to see that move forward. But I put a comment in that story for a reason. And sometimes we see reporters take a piece of paper like this and just deem it as official policy, and sometimes that misleads people a little bit. Sure.
There's been a question about UK intelligence.
I agree, Frank.
Regarding the drunk interdictions involving Venezuelan boats. How will that affect the U.S. military operation? There's been a lot of discussion about the high caliber of the intelligence that has been provided before any of these military actions have taken place.
I've seen that report. Oh, hello. I've seen that report. I'm familiar with the reporting, but we don't comment on intelligence matters, classified intelligence matters, as you know. As for the Trump administration's position on our narco-terrorist campaign in the Caribbean, it is going to continue, and the president has made it very clear he's not going to allow terrorists to bring illegal drugs that kill American citizens into our country. Sure, John. I'll go to John and then Zolan. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Trump has talked about sending out $2,000 checks to U.S. citizens.
Oh, here we go.
Earlier this year, he also talked about sending a Doge dividend. That didn't materialize. Should U.S. citizens expect the $2,000 proposal? Is the White House committed to making that happen?
The White House is committed to making that happen, yes.
Committed.
And we are currently exploring all legal options to get that done. I don't have a timeline for you or any further details, but I can confirm for you that the president made it clear he wants to make it happen. And so his team of economic advisors are looking into it. And when we have an update, we'll provide one.
You guys remember just before the 2008 collapse? Like in June, say, something like that, April or June of 2008, we all got those $500 TANF checks, the George Bush stimulus in 2008, right before everything crashed? You guys remember that? Stimulus checks right before they crashed? You guys remember, stimulus checks? Like right when the dot-com bubble? I don't know. I remember all these things.
Solon.
You said at the top that one of the costs of the government shutdown was that people missed their SNAP benefits. Can you explain then why the administration went to court to fight the funding of food stamps and SNAP benefits?
So recipients missed their SNAP benefits because the Democrats shut the government down, and they forced the administration to tap into a contingency fund that did not even fund the full entirety of this program. And so then you had an unhinged judge who was trying to dictate from the bench what the executive branch has to pay for and where that money has to come from. That is judicial overreach at its finest, and so that's why the administration pushed back on that. We can't have the judicial branch telling the executive branch that we need to rob the Children Nutrition Fund, which is what this judge was trying to do, to pay for SNAP benefits. That's completely inappropriate.
That's wrong.
Unconstitutional, and we've been proven right with that legal argument. But now the good news is, again, thanks to Republicans and in several hours, President Trump, the government is going to be reopened, and SNAP recipients are going to receive their full benefits, which is what President Trump has always wanted to do. Stephen.
Why also did you need the judicial process for that? I mean, during this shutdown, didn't the administration have a responsibility to tap into any of those reserves to ensure that essentially
we did. We did tap into it. We did.
But their contingency fund was for an emergency. Like, they had to declare an emergency, right, under the law, that there had to be a declared emergency to touch that money.
To tap into the contingency fund. And then the judge told us, no, you have to get more money from a children's nutrition fund. And we felt that was judicial overreach. You shouldn't tell the president which fund he has to rob because the Democrats are holding the country hostage by shutting down the federal government. Stephen, go ahead.
Well, if the president is considering a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Again, he's answered this repeatedly. No. It's not something he's talking about or even thinking about.
He's going to do it.
Time, I can assure
Guys,
you
if
that.
Donald Trump pardons Ghislaine, right? Then what? What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Stephen.
Karoline, I've got two questions about New York for you.
Sure.
First,
you always do.
Mayor-elect,
on brand for the New York Post.
Mayor-elect Mamdani, he said that he plans to reach out to
Ford
President
made the
Trump
money on parts?
and that, quote,
I didn't know that, actually.
This is a relationship that would be critical.
Kind of like Nintendo selling the Nintendo at a loss to make money on games. It makes sense. It wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened. Right? Xerox will pretty much give you the printer for free as long as you buy the paper and ink from them. Right?
A response to this planned outreach.
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. I'll let the
You
president
don't own the
respond
printer, you
himself.
like lease it. Right? But the printer's basically free. It's the ink and the paper. The toner and the paper where they get you.
That comment by Mr. Mamdani.
My second question, Jack Schlossberg, the grandson of President Kennedy, announced today that he's running for Congress. He, in the recent past, has referred to his uncle, the HHS secretary, as, quote, a rabid dog, and he has said that the Trump administration is, quote, the most corrupt in American history. Does the White House have a comment on this sort of comment from a rising star in the Democratic Party?
I don't even think such ridiculous comments are worth responding to. Obviously, those things are not true. And Secretary Kennedy is doing a phenomenal job bringing transparency and the gold standard of science back to our healthcare system. Eamon.
Thank you, Caroline. The president's hosting a number of Wall Street CEOs for dinner tonight here at the White House. Can you give us the names of the CEOs who are going to be here and give us a sense of what the president's message to Wall Street is going to be tonight?
I don't have a full list for you in front of me, Eamon. I know you've reported on some names, and we've helped you navigate whether those names were truthful or false. But I know the president actually plans to bring some of you into the dinner tonight, so you'll see for yourself in several hours if that's okay with you.
And there's been some reporting that the White House is frustrated with Bill Pulte and the rollout of this proposal for a 50-year mortgage. Can you tell us if the White House
that's
is
crazy, a
frustrated with that
50-year
rollout
mortgage.
and if the White House...
What's even the point at that rate? Right? I guess you lock in your payments at one low price for your rest of your life. I don't know. I don't see the point in a 50-year mortgage. Right? what if you buy at the wrong time? When I don't know. It just seems like a bad idea.
House still supports the idea of a 50-year mortgage for Americans.
This is a proposal that the president himself has commented on. I would refer you to the president's statements, and it's something that the administration is discussing and seriously looking into. Sure.
Thanks, Kayleigh.
Danny, and then go ahead.
Thank you. Some Democratic members of Congress have invited Britain's former Prince Andrew to testify on the Epstein scandal. I was just wondering if President Trump thinks that former Prince Andrew should indeed come and testify to Congress on that.
I haven't spoken to him about that specific matter, but I can ask him and get back to you.
On the government shutdown, the president and House Republicans have made clear they were not going to negotiate healthcare strategy or policy while the government was shut down. Now, assuming that it reopens tonight, is the president intending to invite any Democrats over to have negotiations over these subsidies or any other plan to bring down the cost of health insurance?
I will just add that, as you pointed out, the Democrats were holding our country hostage to try to negotiate on a healthcare system that
exactly,
they created.
SD.
Obamacare, as it's famously called, is a system the Democrats created. It is a broken system. It has driven up healthcare costs dramatically in this country. And now they shut the government down to try to fix that system they broke. It doesn't make any sense to us.
I agree with her on this, right? It is the Democrats that created, I feel like it was some Republicans, the same ones that we all hate in the Senate. But anyway, they broke it. And now they're having a hissy fit that they can't get more money to fix the system that they themselves broke. It's retarded. But you would think like, oh, that's so retarded, it can't be true. But it is. It is. And the system that they designed is terrible. All it does is funnel money to insurance companies, right? And it causes healthcare to go up, right? So that no one can afford it unless they have some crazy insurance, right? Which causes the rates to go up, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, they have a monopoly over it, so now they can charge, right, insane amounts of money to where there's literally no risk for them at all.
Which is why the president said that's a completely untenable position. However, once the government reopens, the president, as he's always maintained, is absolutely open to having conversations about healthcare. And I think you'll see the president putting forth some really good policy proposals the Democrats should take very seriously to fix, again, the system that they broke. You can't trust the same people who broke the system to fix it. And so the American people will continue to hear from the president on this issue.
Follow up on the question about the $2,000 payments of tariff revenue. The president had also talked about using tariffs to bring down the national debt. Would this be in lieu of that? Like, this is now the new way to maybe to use that tariff revenue?
No, the president put out a statement on this clarifying he wants to do both things with the tariff revenue that he's bringing into this country. Trillions of dollars are expected to continue to pour in, and it's part of the reason that the Supreme Court case is so vital for our country's future.
Something like that. If we pay all the workers, something like that, $400 billion. If everybody that is, over 18 gets one, it'll be like $400 billion, something like that. 400 to 500 and something billion. I don't know exactly how many adults there are. There's something like 250 million, something like that.
To restore our manufacturing industry in this country, to protect our national security, to continue to allow the president to use tariffs as leverage to negotiate economic deals that, again, are good for our national security. And that revenue can then be used for various reasons, to pay down our debt and also perhaps to give these rebate checks back to Americans, which, again, the White House is exploring the legal options of how we can get that done. Catherine, go ahead.
Viktor Orban said this week that President Trump has promised Hungary some kind of financial shield. Do you have any details on how
healthcare is like crack and heroin fucking trap houses? Like the clinic is like a trap house? They just get you hooked on government dope?
I don't, but I'm happy to check with the National Security Council and get back to you.
One more. You recently said you'd check with President Trump about why he needs to get an MRI on his recent trip to Walter Reed. Do you have any more detail on that?
I do, and I'm glad you asked. As stated in the memo provided on October 10th, President Trump received advanced imaging at Walter Reed Medical Center as part of his routine physical examination. The full results were reviewed by attending radiologists and consultants, and all agreed that President Trump remains in exceptional physical health.
You guys ever remember about Joe Biden getting an MRI done to prove that he was healthy? Oh wait, no, that never happened.
Which I know all of you will see with your own eyes later this evening when he opens up his dinner to the press, and perhaps you will see him when he signs the bill to reopen the federal government. So stay tuned on plans for that. Thank you, everyone.
All right, well, that's it. She's done. She gone. All right, that was the beautiful and wonderful Karoline Leavitt. She does a good job. I mean, I don't agree with everything she says. I know her job is not to tell me the truth, but to tell me what the president wants me to hear. But she does a damn good job. I want to believe her. I want to believe her. She's so cute. Oh, man. All right. And I like Donald Trump. No, B, I don't have Zelle. I'm sorry. My bank account is not compatible with Zelle. Or at least it wasn't the last time I tried to set it up. In my bank account, there's no connect to Zelle button. I know that. I wish I did. I just have Cash App and Venmo. Let's see here. You could use one of these. So what's been going on with you guys? Me, I've been working and programming. I think that I have Bubble figured all the way out now. I had to build a torrent system on top of it, right? And I think I'm gonna need master nodes, kind of how some chains have master nodes, right? That do services for the network. And our master nodes are going to host the torrent file, the torrent trackers, right? So that way, it just makes way more sense this way, right? To just set it all up just like BitTorrent works, or at least very close to how BitTorrent works. I don't know if I could pull an exact replica off, but maybe. And that's just going to make everything work better. It's just going to make everything work better. Right? So I'll call you to try to get the file off you, but if you're not online, then I'll call the tracker and it will hook me up with other people that have downloaded the file, and I can keep pestering them until I get the file from somebody, right? So that's actually going to fix a lot of problems. And we've got the size problem pretty much figured out, right? We have that's no longer an issue. The size of the transaction size. Now they're incredibly small. It could be as low, right, as 60 bytes, and as many as 70, right? So 70 5 or something. Yes, exactly, right? So it's going to work more like BitTorrent. So it's actually turning into something really cool. I'm really excited. I'm pretty sure it's going to work this way. We won't have a whole lot to worry about, actually. That's good, right? Now I have to build another server. So now there's 3 servers, right? The miner server, the network server, and then the DHT server, right? So now, to run a DHT, you have to do an exposed IP address that never changes, a static IP address. And that will give you a portion of rewards, right? So you have to have an address, you have to have a wallet address that has so many coins in it or more, and also you have to host a masternode, and you get paid out every block, right? A tiny, tiny amount every block. or once a day or something like that. Right? That's awesome. Now, yeah, so that's what, and I've been working, right? I've just been working at a hotel, setting up for events and or washing dishes sometimes for $20 an hour. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, but I only work like 3 days a week or something. But that's okay. That's just enough so that I can make money and code and get everything done and not freeze to death or starve to death. So yeah, I think that bubble actually, I don't see anything, well, there, I say that now, but there's very few things left that I don't know about, right? There's very few problems that I have identified that I haven't fixed, right? Or at least conceptually. I'm actually working on building the code out now, right? There's a lot to build out. The torrent, I have to build this whole, like, so that's what I'm working on right now is the torrents, right? Not with the master node and all that, just like how the torrents are going to work, how they're going to get put together, and then I have to test that out, sending files by chunks and all the hashing and verifying. It's actually pretty clever. What's up, Michael King? Yeah, so hopefully I can stack up enough money to where I can get out of the damn van. That would be nice for like a few months over the winter. And code. That would be great. No, I haven't heard from Captain Crappy in a long time. I haven't seen any videos about him or anything. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I haven't heard from him. Poor guy, I miss him. Yeah, I haven't seen anything from him for like, I would say it's been at least 6 months since I've seen any of his videos or seen him in the chat. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's going to be it. I will see you guys later this week, probably on Saturday or Sunday, and we can talk about how Trump is like winning the drug war in the right way. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace.